Creative Brain Candy by creators for creators.
You're listening to Simply Stogies, a monthly podcast dedicated to the cigar enthusiast. Light up a stogie, sit back and relax while James brings you along on his journey as a new cigar smoker. Simply Stogies will review cigars, discuss topics that cigar aficionados find important, and will probably learn a few things along the way. Now, here's your host of Simply Stogies, James.
Welcome to Simply Stogies. I am your host, James. This episode is a special episode as we have two very special guests with us today, which we'll get to in just a minute. We're going to be talking about the Queen City Cigar Fest, which is happening May 19th through May 23rd in Charlotte, obviously the Queen City. We have Clinton Douglas and Damon Robinson here. Clinton, Damon, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us, James. Great to be here, sir.
So they're joining us via Zoom, and we're going to get all of the information about the Queen City Cigar Fest, which is going on later this year in May in just a minute. But before we do, I'd like to invite you to go to creativebraincandy.com and check out the great family of podcasts we have there at creativebraincandy.com, including, spoiler, They Die. If you are into true crime podcasts, if you like a little bit of dark humor with your true crime, check out Kat and Logan, a couple of Canadian chicks who think they know true crime. Only at creativebraincandy.com, iTunes, Google, all that jazz. Check that out, creativebraincandy.com. All right, and that's really all I have to shill this week are those two. So Clinton, Damon, welcome to the program. We want to talk about Queen City Cigar Fest, which is coming up May 19th through May 23rd. I'm excited about this. I'm planning on going, even with all the stuff going on in the world, and I'm sure we'll talk about all of that as well. But which one of you wants to tell the listeners what the Queen City Cigar Fest is?
The Queen City Cigar Fest is more than just a series of cigar parties. It's much more than that. The purpose of the Queen City Cigar Fest is to showcase the diversity and the enormity of the Charlotte cigar culture. But at the same time, we while we have this COVID thing going on, and hopefully by the time May gets around, it'll be more of a post-COVID. We are trying to boost our local economy with small businesses in a niche market, and of course, that niche market being the cigar market.
I think that's fantastic, especially with all of the, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Damon, with all of the peril, all the struggle that small businesses have had in the past year. I mean, I think this is fantastic. So continue. I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's what I was just going to say is that, when Clint and I and Drita, and for your listeners, unfortunately, Drita, our third partner, can't be here right now. She had an emergency that she had to attend to shortly before we started. You can find her on Instagram and on Facebook as her moniker is Elegant Plume. But she is an integral part of what we're doing, as all of us are. I kind of liken it to, I always use the example that Mike Rosales of Romacraft used when he said that him, Skip, and Esteban Disla, who runs the factory, they're like two legs of a chair. They each have their thing that they're great at. And if you take one of those pieces off, the chair falls. Well, Drita is great at what she does. Clint is absolutely wonderful at what he does. And I'm good at what I do. So I want to make sure that I put that information out there. But just kind of go back on what we're talking about is that, we didn't want to, all three of us, we didn't want to go into this and say, hey, we just want to have some cigar parties. Like, no, we didn't want to do that because all three of us are entrenched into our local cigar community and our local cigar culture here. And we want to make sure that anything that we did, we highlighted the cigar lounges, that we took people who are local and people who will come from out of county, out of state, to go around to different cigar lounges to experience the different vibes and what everyone has to offer.
Absolutely. And to add to that, just to expand on what Damon was saying, with respect to not just having events that are centered around people just sitting around smoking cigars. We wanted to add something a little different on, just expanding on the part he was talking about with helping the local economy. We're opening this event up because it's a 5-day event. We're trying to engage a lot of small businesses through vendors, not only sponsorships, but through vendors and all sorts of types of different companies that will be coming out to our various different type of events to showcase their products and services. Some of those products and services will be associated with the cigar culture, and some of them may not. We're going to infuse a lot of music into our events. We're going to infuse art into our events. And we're also going to infuse a lot of educational elements into our events, so that we're going to be teaching people who are not so, versed in cigars. We'll have some events that'll be tailored for those type of people as well, so that they can learn a little bit more about cigars.
And to that point, James, if you don't mind me piggybacking off of that, because I had no idea that Clint was about to say that, but I'm glad that he did. The reason that is very important is because we have had people come to us and also through our ambassadors saying that, hey, I would love to, come participate in the Queen City Cigar Fest, but I'm not really a big cigar smoker and I feel a little intimidated. Well, we want to let everyone know that wherever you are in your cigar journey, even if you're not really a cigar smoker, do not feel intimidated to come down and enjoy this. Even if you don't really smoke cigars, there'll be lots of different things for you to take a part of. There'll, as Clint said, there'll be art, there'll be music, there'll be entertainment, there'll be craft cocktails, there'll be food, there'll be networking opportunities, socializing, and all these different things that adults do. And if you, by chance, want to smoke a cigar, there will be a plethora of people around to help you do that for your first time, and they will not make you feel like an idiot.
I think that's pretty important, especially
we're all about community here.
Absolutely. And I think you kind of have to be, right, in order to facilitate people coming into the hobby. I want to find out what it is at its core. Like, give me like super high level. Someone's like, hey, this sounds interesting. I want to go to the Queen City Cigar Fest. What is it? It doesn't sound like it's in one spot. It sounds like it's going to be in multiple spots over the 5 days.
Well, I'll tackle that real quick. So, yes. So, just kind of give you like a high level overview of what we're doing, right? So, Wednesday is our kickoff day. And we're going to have day and night events. We're not doing like a pop-up. We're actually doing events. So, Wednesday during the day, we'll be at one of our partner lounges, which is the Cigar Loft in downtown Concord. And we'll be having an educational event where we'll be pairing cigars and whiskey. That night, we're having the big kickoff event, the actual kickoff at Taylor Smoke in the Uptown area. And just for everyone who are listening to this, Taylor Smoke is really one of our, if not the anchor lounge for what we're doing, because we'll be at Taylor Smoke. They have 2 locations. We'll be there about 3 different times between the 2 locations during the 5 days. So again, Cigar Loft downtown Concord during the day, and then Taylor Smoke Uptown at night. Thursday during the day, we'll be at Smoke and Barrel in Mount Holly. And then that night we'll be actually where I am right now, which is Goldie Cigar Lounge in the Lake Norman area. On Friday during the day, we'll be at Aroma Cigar, etc. And then that night, we'll be at Taylor Smoke in the Concord area. Saturday during the day, we're having a big outdoor beer and cigar fest at a local brewery. And then that night, we're having our cigar dinner. And I can go ahead and tell you the name of it because Drita and I were on another podcast and he said the name. So I'll be glad to go ahead and tell you. We're having our dinner is called Poodles en Blanco, which basically means cigars in white. So it's basically a cigar dinner in white, but we didn't want to just call it a white party. So it's called Poodles en Blanco. So we'll be having that in the Uptown area. And then on Sunday is the closeout day. It'll be a cigar brunch at 1501 South Main.
So James, make sure you bring your all white attire for that night.
I'm I'm not sure I have any all white attire, but I'll see what I can do. So how did this all come about? Because this sounds extremely interesting, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and it sounds like you guys really want to help out your local community.
What we do, because that's what it's all about. Like, you can't have, well, at least in our mind, we're not talking about ours in comparison or contrast to anybody else's events, but for us in the Charlotte community, we couldn't see ourselves doing a series of events that are cigar related if we did not involve the cigar lounges. That just wouldn't make sense to us.
So how did the three of you get together and come up with this idea? Was it spurred on from the pandemic?
Well, I'll tell you, the mastermind behind the whole concept was Damon. Damon actually birthed the idea about 3 years ago. But I felt at that time when he first approached me about the idea that the timing wasn't right for it. I think Damon was kind of, I'm going to be honest, Damon was kind of new in town at the time. And I just felt like, I myself had a lot of things going on at the time. So we kind of shelved the idea. Then, we would talk about it occasionally. Then all of a sudden, he brings it up again, I guess in the summer of 2020. And it just felt right. All the ideas that he had behind it and his passion for wanting to bring this to the Charlotte community after we had visited other markets and experienced their, quote unquote, cigar weeks or cigar experiences and, things like that. We started brainstorming and we really wanted to do something different. And then, he brought Drita on and we just started brainstorming and it just took off from there. And that's how we ended up where we are.
James, Clint is downplaying himself a little bit. So everything that he said is absolutely true. However, when I came to Clint, so let me back up for a second. Clint was absolutely right. No holds barred. I'm the new guy in town because I moved to Charlotte in 2016. Clint and Drita are more like the Charlotte veterans. Clint has been here the longest, then Drita, and then myself. I moved here in 2016. So he was right. I was a new guy in town. I came from Nashville, Tennessee. I spent 20 years there. A lot of roots in that area. But I didn't really know a whole lot of people here. So he's absolutely right. And, it probably wouldn't have worked great if we had started it then as well as it's working right now. Even with COVID, it's still working. Like, there are just a lot of different things that we're doing and all the dominoes just keep on falling into place, right? But Clint, at the time, the reason that he was busy is because Clint is he's like we call him the Charlotte socialite. Clint was on a reality show called To Have and to Hold Charlotte. So if anybody has never seen that show, never heard of the show, go look it up. I think it's on the OWN network. Isn't that right, Clint?
Yeah, it's the Oprah Winfrey Network. I was busy filming a show when it came
right,
to this.
Exactly. So it wasn't just like he was just busy. He was busy filming a reality show.
Did you win the reality show?
It wasn't a win. Clint, tell him about it.
Well, just to briefly tell you about it, it was a reality show that was about 5 married couples. So I had cameras and cameras following me around, filming my life and my married life with my family. So at the time, I'm like, Damon, with all I had going on, I had multiple businesses and I work and filming a reality show. I just didn't have time to take on another project like that. But in retrospect, I'm glad it worked out that way because when you think about it, Damon, our cigar culture and the amount of cigar lounges that we now have has grown.
It has. You're absolutely right.
So, I think it was divine timing.
Let's talk real quick about the cigar culture in Charlotte, in the Queen City. Here in the Midwest, there are pockets of it, and it's not very prevalent. How is it in Charlotte? Like you just said that it kind of exploded. There's been a more lounge openings and things like that. Talk about that for just a minute.
Yeah. So measuring from what the time that Clint is talking about. So you already had Taylor Smoke in the Uptown area, but
One location
there wasn't
only.
right now. Exactly. Now they have two locations. They didn't have during that time. Now they have the Uptown, and they also have the Concord area, which opened last year. And I'm going to name some lounges that we're working with, of course, but also there are other lounges that we're not doing events with, but we will also be partnering with in a different sort of way. So all of our event lounges, we've got Gold Leaf, where I'm at right now. We've got Taylor Smoke, which now has two locations. We've got the Cigar Loft, which was not open at the time when we initially talked about this. We got Smoke and Barrel, which was not open during the time that we were talking about this. And we had Aroma Cigar, etc., which was open at the time, and it's been a staple in the Charlotte in the Charlotte cigar community. But then we got another one that's opening up called the Vintage, which is more on I guess would you call it the Uptown, south of Uptown area, Clint?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got Burners Cigar, which is like just one exit down from Gold Leaf going south. You've got Tinderbox, which has multiple locations. You got another one that's going to be opening up in the Uptown area, which is going to be a rooftop. I can't think of the name of it right now. And you've got just like a host of, and you've got the Cigar Shop Indian Trail, which is out south, which has a great humidor, absolutely wonderful humidor. So, I mean, we've got a ton of different cigar lounges around here.
It sounds like it. That's fantastic. Did they explode? Did they kind of come about because the cigar culture is so prevalent in Charlotte? Like, are there more smokers now than before?
Well, if I'm being honest, and this is just my opinion, I don't have any way to, I guess, qualify this statement completely. But
sure.
From my opinion, cigar lounges in any particular area come along because of a need. Because every cigar lounge that I've named, they all have a different vibe, and every cigar lounge that comes along, they feel a need. There's not one cigar lounge around here that fills every particular need. There are some lounges that are, more of a boys club where it might be 99% guys in there, and they don't have any music playing. It's just a TV, and the conversations will range from marriage to politics to sports to anything. You have other lounges like Taylor Smoke, which is more of an inclusive lounge. It has just as many women who go to Taylor Smoke as there are men. And yes, there are TVs there, but the TV is more of a backdrop. It's the music and the service and the environment is really what was a selling point for Taylor Smoke. You have Aroma Cigar, etc., which has live music all the time. You've got Gold Leaf, which has a live band that comes in here once or twice a week, and they cater to a different crowd. They have beautiful, like I wish you could see it right now. I'm in here right now. They have beautiful leather seats and all these. It's kind of hard for you to kind of get a picture of it, but all of their tables that they have, where they have their ashtrays at. All of the tables are made out of cigar boxes.
Oh, nice.
So they're cigar boxes that are put together with a lacquer on it, with legs on it, and it just adds a different kind of flair to it, right? So, like I said, this is like a lot of different lounges pop up because they're feeling the need.
Was it hard to get, because I know, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, so my listeners are familiar with some of the struggles that I deal with the internal politics of different lounges in different areas. Do all the lounge owners get along there? Were they all for this? Were they on board? Like, this is a great idea. Like, we want to, like, what can we do to make this happen? Or was it more of a struggle to get them to come on board and work with some of the other lounges and make sure everybody gets equal amount of time? And
all right, Clint, I'll take this. When we initially came out with this idea, I was one of the people who were going around to the different lounges, talking to them about it, trying to get, garner interest and support. And without naming any names, because naming names is irrelevant. But
right.
The general feel was that the general feel was that, hey, this is a great idea. And to coin the phrase from one of the cigar shop owners, he says, a rising tide raises all ships, right? A lot of lounge owners subscribe to that type of thinking. That, the more people you have come in, the bigger the cigar culture gets, the better it is for all of us. However, there are other people within the cigar culture, meaning lounge owners, who don't necessarily subscribe to that. They view it as very competitive. They want their customers to themselves. They don't want to mix people and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. I don't begrudge anybody for their, for how
Sure.
they do business or for what they want to do. It's just that sometimes, it's a good fit for some people. Sometimes it's not good for other people. And that's fine.
Right.
That's totally fine.
And if I may add, and for that reason, we probably only have, for this inaugural event, we only have half of the cigar lounge's participation. But we anticipate that next year that all will want to be involved, because we expect this to be a big deal.
Yeah, even with COVID. Because, and I do want to let people know that, because we've heard some rumblings, and we've actually had some direct questions about, like, well, I would love to participate in it, but what about COVID and blah, 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 blah. Well, to address that is that we are hoping for the best, but we are preparing for the worst. We are doing our due diligence to make sure that if all the vaccinations have not taken place by the time that our event comes, we will make sure that things are spaced properly so people can feel comfortable in coming to the lounge. So that means us not, selling as many VIP tickets or other tickets to events that we would like to sell, then that's perfectly fine. We want to make sure that we cater to people from a cultural standpoint, but also from a safety standpoint.
That was on the list of things I was going to ask. Like, that was next up to talk about COVID. But it sounds like you're optimistic, but you're also making sure that if worse comes to worse, you're prepared.
We're cautiously optimistic.
Right.
Yeah, you're being very realistic about it. I think that's good. So people can purchase a ticket with confidence then that this event will in fact happen.
Yes, definitely.
And unless, things don't get better and we are forced under the current restrictions where we'll have to cancel. But we really feel that we're very optimistic, but we're keeping our fingers on the pulse of everything that's happening with COVID.
Just to kind of piggyback off what Clint said, not cancel, but maybe postpone. If things take a turn for the worse. But just as Clint said, keeping a finger on the pulse of not only the cigar community and the culture, but also with the law and federal regulations. We're looking at everything. We're looking at group 1 through group 2, 3, and 4 for COVID vaccinations. I think last time I checked, I'm in group 4. I'm 45 years old, so I think the most vulnerable of society are in groups 1 and 2. So, people my age are probably in group 4, which is a little bit more healthier people or whatnot. So with this being toward the end of January, we are very hopeful and very optimistic that by the time our event rolls around, things will be much better than they are right now.
Absolutely. And I hope that's the case as well. Can we talk about ticket sales? When do you expect tickets to actually go on sale for the event?
We expect our website and our ticket sales to be live within 2 weeks. That is the target that we're shooting for. Hopefully by the end of next week. But if not, it will definitely be within 2 weeks.
I'm gonna tell you why that was a Clint question. And this kind of goes into the 3 legs of the chair, right? So Clint, in addition to being our local Charlotte socialite and our veteran Charlottean, Clint is also our tech guy. He's the one who got our website and everything going. He's the person who gets all of our photography. People come out. He's an integral part of what we do. Drita, she's our marketing and PR person. I'm the lounge contact and letter writer and resident tobacco nerd. Not cigar nerd, but tobacco nerd. So we have our three legs that we're really good at. And we have a lot of checks and balances. There's no ego in anything that we do. And, I told them before, I couldn't imagine doing this with anyone else other than them two.
Nice. And it sounds like the three of you get along great, and that typically makes for a better event when everyone's getting along and you're all friends and you're able to plan this together. Let's talk real quick. Do you know what the price of the tickets are going to be, and then what different, like you said, there was going to be a VIP?
Well, yes, there will be a VIP. The price of the tickets, we're going to hold off on that until we actually launch the website. So anyone that will hear this, just follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook, which is both called Queen City Cigar Fest. And then you will be updated with the website launch. I will say, and I don't think I'm out of line by saying this because, we've already talked about it. The ticket price that we set will be extremely affordable based on the value of what you're going to get compared to the ticket price. Because see, one of the things I will tell you, and I'll tell you this right now, because this on your show, I'm going to release something that we haven't released on anybody else's show yet, right? We have, just like when a lot of people go to different cigar events, whether cigar weeks or daily cigar events or what have you, you have this thing that people get called a swag bag or VIP swag bag or what have you, right?
Right.
The thing that we're doing different, it's essentially the same. It's under the same umbrella, but it's a slightly different concept. Ours is going to be called, and if you ever see this name during anybody else's event, they got it from us. It's called the Cigar Fest Survival Kit. And it's not going to be a bag, it'll be a box. And in this box, you will have lots of different things. You will have everything that someone would need to survive a cigar week. Any type of accessories or any other type of cigar accoutrements, some cigars, of course, things that are peripheral to cigars, like for instance, cigar smokers. Because you smoke cigars, you want to have fresh breath. So, mouthwash or mint chocolates or things of that nature. You have things to better enjoy your cigar. You'll have discounts on cigars that you can purchase from some other cigar lounges who aren't event lounges, but they're participating in a different way. You can purchase them from their online store, and just a host of different other things that you would need to survive a cigar week. So
that's fantastic.
It's called the Cigar Fest Survival Kit.
That's a great idea. I love that better than swag bag. Swag bag's generic. Everybody has a swag bag.
Exactly.
Cigar Fest Survival Kit. I need that. I don't need a swag bag. I need a survival kit.
Man, it is going to be awesome.
Now, is that going to be for everybody? Is it just going to be for the VIPs? Like what?
Just for the VIP. It's just for the VIP.
There we
you
go.
You can't just give it to everybody, man.
That's right.
That's the price of VIP.
That's right. Let's talk about some of the events. Now, you've already talked about a couple of them. You talked about the dinner in white, and I know it was El Blanco, but I don't remember so you're going to have
Noodles on Blanco.
There you go.
I'll give you a sneak preview of one of our events. We will have, during one of our events, one of our cigar lounge events, we'll have an artist that is painting doing some type of art live, painting something live while the event is going on, but the painting will be cigar related. And then our attendees will have the opportunity to purchase that art if they'd like to. Things like that, that's just one of the things that will be going on. And Damon, you can expound on that if you want.
Well, no, I think you got it, because James, that's we talk about those three legs. That's something that that Clint is spearheading, and we completely and utterly support that. All of us have different ideas, and we just kind of bring that into the fold. And it sounds great. Let's run with it. And that was an idea that Clint brought in, and we are totally behind it.
I think it sounds great because it sounds like you're bringing in other culture from from the Charlotte area, not just the cigar culture. You're bringing in art, you're bringing in music, you're bringing in all of these different things. You're supporting small business, and you're actually supporting the local economy overall with this event, because it is open to everybody. It's open to out-of-towners like myself. It's open to the folks who live in the Charlotte area or around the Charlotte area. And so I think it's a great idea to bring people together under the auspices of tobacco, under the auspices of the cigar, and kind of showcase Charlotte and help small businesses at the same time.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I want to ask, like, what goes into this? Like this event, you said it's been 3 years in the making. This sounds like an almost Herculean task, even for 3 people. How did you guys get this done? Especially, we talked about COVID with the pandemic. How did you guys pull this off?
Man, listen, it requires a lot of coordination, a lot of conversations, a lot of negotiations, and a lot of participation from our local community. And as Damon, said earlier, it's about bringing the community in. It's not just about, Drita. It's not just about myself or Damon. It's about the community. So we're trying to pull everybody in. I don't care what you do. We feel like we have so much to offer that anybody in the community can get involved. We find that a lot of people that are going to be involved, whether or not they are avid cigar smokers or their business is directly related to cigars, want to get involved. We're getting inquiries from a plethora of different types of businesses that can tailor their businesses and what they provide to the event. So that's what's going to enable us to really offer something different than the typical cigar festival.
Hey, to kind of piggyback off what Clint said, is like, for instance, we have potential sponsors who reach out to us who have nothing to do with cigars, like insurance, not necessarily not health insurance, but just, other types of insurance, right? They want to be a part of this because they see the added benefit of having their name in front of a group of adults. Because when you look at the cigar community, it's especially important for people who don't smoke anything, whether it's hookah, cigars, cigarettes, e-cigs, or whatever, right? The cigar community is much, much different than any other community, right? Because the vast majority of the people who smoke cigars, they're adults, and I would venture to say they're probably in their mid-30s on up to, the oldest of society, right?
Right.
And there are people who have some type of means. There are people who are responsible. They have families. If they don't have families, it's just themselves. They have things that, they want to take care of as an individual. So they're fiscally responsible people, and they want to be involved in things that look out for their livelihood, right? In all aspects, whether it's health insurance, car insurance, whether it's, just a host of different other things, right? So people in these different industries, they see that and they want to be a part of that. And, we welcome all of that.
To piggyback on that, we feel like that our cigar festival is also going to pull everybody in. For example, some of our participating lounges and some of the lounges that are not participating, I'm just going to say all of them, right? There are some lounges that are predominantly white. There are some lounges that are predominantly black, right? We feel like we want to showcase the diversity of our cigar culture here. So this Cigar Fest is going to bring everybody together from all different races, all social economic backgrounds. We're all going to come together for this 5 days, and I'm really excited about it. I just wanted to say that, we're just going to display the diversity, and I think the cigar is the great equalizer, right?
because it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter
James.
from kings
Absolutely.
to street sweepers. Like, you can sit down, you can relax, and you can have a conversation with another adult who shares the same passion that you do. So I'm glad you said that, Clint. I was going to bring that up, the diversity aspect of it, because, I think
Well, James,
it's
to your
important.
point, I remember that I've been smoking cigars for about 12 to 13 years. I started in Nashville, Tennessee. And like I said, to your point, I vividly remember sitting down in a cigar lounge that I used to frequent in Nashville, Tennessee. And one of the gentlemen in there told me, and I don't know if it's something that he came up with, being a phrase that he coined, or maybe he was regurgitating something that had been going throughout the cigar community, but it was very true. He said, it doesn't matter if you're the CEO of the company or if you're the guy who sweeps the floor. The time that you guys are sitting down smoking a cigar, you're on a level playing field. Cigars are the great denominator.
Absolutely.
You don't have the same type of conversations with a cigar that you do like if you're in a bar drinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's 100% accurate, because when you have a cigar, you want to relax. You're trying to unwind. You're trying to enjoy life, right? You don't want to have those heavy conversations or those arguments with people over politics or religion or whatever. You just don't want to have those conversations. And if you do have them, they're typically, not all the time, but typically they're more civil, and you're actually listening.
They're a lot more civil in the cigar community than they are anywhere else.
Right,
Absolutely.
because you'll find that people are coming together or are able to have conversations based on their common denominator, and that's the love of the leaf.
Let me ask you guys this, because smoking overall in general is not accepted, and cigars are no different, even though cigars are much different than anything else out there, different than e-cigarettes, different than cigarettes, different. Like, it always gets lumped in with that, but it's not. When you guys started this and you started talking to people in your community, was there any pushback from the community? Like, no, I don't want anything to do with tobacco. No, tobacco's bad. Like, did you get that?
No, I can't say that we have. Right, Damon?
No, and I'm gonna tell you why from my aspect. It's because whenever you're doing something, whatever your particular venture is, you typically start with your low hanging fruit, right? So we're doing a cigar event. So our low hanging fruit is a cigar community. So everybody in the cigar community pretty much understands basically what you just said, James, that there's a differentiating factor. Like, it's all tobacco, yes, right? But shisha is not pipe tobacco. Pipe tobacco is not cigarettes. Cigarettes are not premium hand-rolled cigars, right? I am one of the 4 ambassadors for the state of North Carolina for the Cigar Rights of America. So I am always receiving emails about, FDA mandates or FDA regulations or the fight to try to save premium cigars. But at the same time, I'm using that information to try to educate people who are not in the cigar community, at any chance, any moment that I get, whether I make an Instagram post or whether I make a Facebook post, just kind of let them know, like, I'm not trying to get you to smoke cigars. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there's a difference between a premium hand-rolled cigar and a cigarette. A cigar is not a big cigarette. So
Absolutely.
For people who are politicians who may or may not smoke cigars, whether you're local or whether you're on the federal level, premium cigars are not big cigarettes. They're not. Nope. And they have a much different demographic than people who smoke cigarettes.
It's funny that demographic that is different from the demographic that smokes cigarettes is typically the demographic you find in politics, and they still don't know.
You would think that,
but they don't understand it. They typically don't want to. I've had Glenn Loop, who was the previous executive director of the CRA.
For CRA.
I had him on a couple of times, and he's told me, Glenn's great. He's like, he told me straight out on the show. He's like, these guys get together after the cameras are away, and he's like, they enjoy a cigar. He's like, if they could just do that when the cameras are on, like, we would probably be a lot better off. So Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
Hey, James,
Yeah.
would you mind if I nerded out with you for a hot second?
nerd with me, man. I'm all about it.
So to kind of, go off your point, right, about, the conversation that you had with Glenn, right? Shout out to Jesse Marriott and Hand Roll. If no one has ever seen the video Hand Roll, you can go rent or buy it on, I think, Amazon, iTunes, Google Play. Please go ahead and rent or buy that. Even if you are not a cigar smoker, go rent it or buy it. It would be one of the best things that you could ever do for yourself to help you understand the difference between cigars and any other tobacco product, and why we are fighting so hard to not just to promote, but to save the premium hand rolled cigar industry. And to piggyback off of a point that one of the senators made, he said, I can't remember his name, but if you watch the video, you will see. He said that he's a very centrist voter. If it makes sense, he votes for it, right? And one of the things that he said, which makes so much sense, is that federal regulations against the premium cigar industry could end up being an extreme bottleneck for immigration. Because when you think about it, the vast majority of cigars that America smoke, they're not made in America. Yes, there are a lot that are made in Miami, and they're made in Tampa, and they're made in Kentucky, and maybe Connecticut River Valley. But the vast majority of cigars that we smoke, they're made in places like Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican Republic, Mexico, and places like
Costa
that.
Rica.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, Costa Rica, right? So just outside of Dominican Republic, if you think about places that are connected to, I guess, through Mexico, you go down from Mexico, you got Nicaragua, you got Honduras, you got Nicaragua, right? So if the FDA puts a sanction on premium cigars, then what that does in effect is that causes cigar companies to reduce their workforce. And many of the people who work in the premium cigar industry, whether they are working a farm or whether they work in a factory in the curing or fermenting or as bancheros or rollers, this is the only job that most of them have ever had their entire adult life. So once you start cutting down the workforce, what are those people going to do? They're eventually going to end up trying to come to America and make a better life for themselves, or they're going to get into something illegal, which also could be bad for America, right?
Absolutely.
So the best thing for America to do is just to leave premium cigars alone.
Exactly.
It's a vastly a family-owned business, and it helps out small businesses because you got a lot of cigar shops around here that are family-owned. They're not big chains, right? So just leave it alone. There's no point in messing with it.
That's right. Because when you start messing with it, like you said, you're not just messing with, at best, just American small businesses, because a lot of these are mom and pop shops. A lot of these are small businesses that are, been handed down from generation to generation, or maybe it's a new startup. But you're also messing with countries who are in a lot of cases second or third world countries where this is all they know. This is that roller, that torcedor. He was taught from his dad how to do this, and he's teaching his son how to do it. And so you start messing with that. You start messing with other people's economies. It's a big difference. Big difference.
Well, yeah, because this is 2021. We live in a global economy, right? Not just now, but for the past, I don't know how many years, we lived in much more of a global economy. So you press a button over here, it has vast effects, be it positive or negative, on something in a different area. And
Absolutely.
Again, and I hate to keep harping on it, but if you go watch the video, the hand-rolled video, you will see the things that the J.C. Duman and Fuente companies and different other companies who have factories, not only do they employ people, they build schools for the people who work in the factory. They build schools for their children to go to elementary school, middle school, and high school, so they don't succumb to a life of crime or drugs.
Right, because it's their only opportunity.
Exactly. You are supporting them by not having federal regulations, which in turn helps America.
100%. 100%. It's a great movie. If you don't know anything about the cigar industry, It is the best movie to watch. That gives you an idea of how things work and why it's different than other forms of tobacco, especially cigarettes. And if you know, it's great to go and support, and maybe you might learn something new. I've seen it. I own it. It's a great video. A hand rolled. Go watch it. Go watch it. Charlotte's not a small area. Charlotte's huge. So you're like, how many people are you expecting? Are you expecting quite a few people to show up?
Well, listen, we expecting this thing to really exceed our expectations. Now, I'm gonna tell you, our expectations are a minimum of 200 people, but we feel that we're gonna far exceed that. If we do what we're supposed to do as a company and to market and promote this like we should, we expect far more than that. But our lowest expectation, James, is 200 attendees in our inaugural event.
And the only reason we're saying that is because of COVID.
Right.
Only because of COVID.
So if you want to take, like, you guys got to watch their Facebook. It's facebook.com/ Queen City Cigar Fest, Instagram.com/ Queen City Cigar Fest. You guys have to watch that. Watch my Instagram, because I'll put it back out there when the tickets go on sale. Like, get your tickets quick, because if COVID's still around, they're going to limit who's going to be able to go. So make sure you're watching it. If there's a sponsor out there, somebody wants to sponsor it, maybe somebody in the Charlotte area, if you're listening to this, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can contact us right now until our website is live. They can contact us through our Instagram by sending us a DM on Queen City Cigar Fest. They can contact us on our Facebook page, Queen City Cigar Fest. They can send us an email at queencitycigarfest@gmail.com. They can even contact us individually if it's someone who maybe knows us individually. It's like Drita. You can contact her on Instagram at Elegant Plume. You can contact Clint at Mr. C. Diddy. You can contact me on Instagram at Damon_the Cigar Culturalist.
There you go. All of this will be on the show notes, folks. If you're not able to write it down real quick, just go to the show notes. It'll all be on there where you can contact them. I'll even list the website, though probably won't be live by February 1st, but it will be live in the first week of February. It sounds like maybe the second week at the latest. And so that's where you're going to want to follow everybody. And we do hope that Drita is okay and everything's all right, and that, she'll be out there, but you can follow her, Elegant Plume, on Instagram and Facebook as well. Damon, Clint, I appreciate you guys coming on, talking about the Queen City Cigar Fest. Is there anything you guys want to mention before we get out of here?
Clint?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. To everyone that's listening, this event is going to be spectacular. It's going to be awesome. We are really trying to bring a lot of events that are very, very, very different and very exciting from what you're probably used to. And I just hope to see everybody out there. I'm just going to leave you with that, James.
I appreciate it. Clint, Damon?
Well, yeah, I just want everyone to know that, it's, as you alluded to earlier, actually, as Clint alluded to earlier, I apologize. It's not about Damon. It's not about Clint. It's not about Drita. We are just a conduit through which this event is getting put on, right? It's about the community. It's about the culture. And the way I look at culture is culture in any respect, whether it's, hip hop, R&B, big band, culture, or whatever. The cigar culture is a combination of the cigar industry and the cigar community. So it's about the cigar culture. And we want to make sure that, we give people exactly what they're looking for, but at the same time, we exceed their expectations. We want people, like, I've had a number of people when I go to different cigar lounges who come to me and say, hey, I've heard something about this Queen City Cigar Fest. What's going on with it? And I'll tell them about the different lounges. Like, I've never been to that lounge. I've heard it, but I've never been to it. And they're local. I said, well, that's one of the reasons that we're doing this, is to try to introduce not only the lounges to the local people, but also to people who will come from out of town. Like, you know what? Next time I come to Charlotte, I know exactly where to go. Any type of vibe I'm looking for, I know exactly where to go. Because, because as you know, James, a lot of people go to different cigar lounges based on geographics, what's close to them, right? Other people go to cigar lounges because of different vibes that they're looking for. Maybe they want to work. Maybe they want to entertain. Maybe they want some entertainment, or maybe they're looking for certain types of cigars. Well, guess what? Charlotte has all of that. If you're looking for something that's more boutique, we have lounges that are going to give you that. If you're looking for entertainment, we have lounges that are going to give you that. If you want to go post up with your laptop and work remotely and while you smoke a cigar around some cool people, we have that. So we have a very diverse cigar culture here.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I will definitely be there. It's already cleared with the wife. So May 19th.
Yeah, you got to get that.
That's right. You got happy wife, happy life.
That.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to meeting you, James. That's awesome.
Wait a minute. I thought it was a happy spouse, happy house.
Maybe that's what it is. It might be that in your house. In mine, it's happy wife, happy life.
Absolutely. I think we all can relate to that.
Yeah. So Queen City Cigar Fest, May 19th through May 23rd. Watch for it, guys. The tickets are going to start going on sale next week or the week after. Again, facebook.com /Queen City Cigar Fest, Instagram.com /Queen City Cigar Fest. Email them, queencitycigarfest@gmail.com until the website is up. Again, Clint, Damon, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing everything that Charlotte has to offer and everything that the Queen City Cigar Fest has to offer to show and highlight the Charlotte cigar, tobacco, and it sounds like just the culture overall in Charlotte. I'm really looking forward to it, guys.
And so are we. And James, we thank you very much for having us on. You didn't have to do this. We graciously appreciate everything that you're doing for the cigar culture, and thank you for having us on. We really do appreciate it.
Look, it's my pleasure to have you guys on. It was great to talk to you guys. Make sure that you're following them, Instagram.com /Queen City Cigar Fest, and Facebook. Look, if you can't go, the best way to support them is like, share, repost everything they put out, because maybe that cigar smoker in your life might want to go check out everything Charlotte has to offer.
Well, one more thing I want to let you know and let your listeners know. We were on another podcast. Somebody brought up a very interesting question that I think needs to be addressed. The question was posed: what if someone wants to participate in the Queen City Cigar Fest, but for some reason they're not able to attend? How can they do so? Are you going to be partnering with any lounges? So, yes, we're going to be partnering with some different lounges where we may not have events at, but we will have they will put together a pack of cigars specifically for the Queen City Cigar Fest that you can purchase from their online store. And we will have all of the information on our website and, of course, on our social media as well.
Yep. And I will make sure that I put all of that information in the show notes once it's available, even after the show is out. So once you've listened to this episode, you've looked at the show notes, you might want to go back and look at them again, and then also make sure that you're following all of us on Instagram. All of that will, again, be on the show notes. Clinton, Damon, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, James.
That's going to do it for this episode of Simply Stogies. Join me next time when I'm not sure what I'll be talking about, but I can promise it'll be Simply Stogies. Stay smoky, friends.
Thank you for listening to Simply Stogies. Please rate and review Simply Stogies on iTunes. You can follow James on his cigar journey on Instagram at Simply Stogies Podcast, all one word, and on Twitter at the Twitter handle at Simply Stogies.